Teacups, what's brewing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. So my intent was to come on today and react to her updates live, and then I got online to download it so I could watch it, and I realized that she was actually live again with the live hi there. How many times can I put live in a sentence? Who knows? We'll keep trying. I didn't really want to face having another live to go through after, so I decided just to skip to this one because it was the newest. She did threaten at the end of this live stream to come back in a few hours, so it's entirely possible by the time I film this recap that she will have more content up. Now, that being said, she hasn't been that active this week. She has been sick, and you've been able to hear her being sick and just clearing her throat through the entire lives. So we haven't had as much from her. I'm a little bit shocked at this point that we haven't had any ERBs. I don't know if maybe she's just scared it's going to be a bit too expensive. Because if she had more finances behind her, I feel like it would be a shoo-in. She's also had a community post up. I think it was complaining about Yabba this time and her support group and how, you know, mothers who react to terrible people, why do they have kids, blah, blah, blah. How can you do that? These mothers with their coffee breaks. I'm like, dude, it ain't that hard. You're just the modern day soap opera. But anyway, let's get into this episode. So we start with her saying she's ordered food. She's sealing on the couch. She's ordered pad thai with a fruit platter. And being sick has clearly made her want to go healthy again. I can't remember if she actually said that outright or if I've just summarized this in my notes here. But the last couple of days we've been hearing from her like trying to make healthy choices. Very much that kind of healthy, given the given, but there we are. She hasn't had a COVID test. She might see if she can get one from the pharmacy. In her last live, I think it was, maybe it was the one before, she was saying how people, or she can't believe that people would think she would purposely get people sick or purposely spread something serious around or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what her exact wording was. But do you all remember when she decided in the middle of lockdown that she wanted to Pennington's bees? And she woke up sick that day and was like, no, I'm not sick, I'm fine. And then in the car, she was like, I'm fine, I'm here, get over it, or something like that. She didn't care at all the impact she might potentially have. And this was during a pandemic. So I don't think on any meaningful level she cares now, but she's being a little bit more performative in how she covers herself up. Smells a bit like backlash, but what do I know? She did end up having COVID twice, even though she didn't admit it at the time. But Chantal does like to block out the memories that don't serve her current line of truth. Well, the memories and the members. Someone knocks on the door. It seems to be the cleaner. She asks if it's okay if she stays in the room, and she gets a yes, but man, that feels like it would be awkward. I hate being here when people are cleaning. I have a cleaner and she's lovely, but I try and stay out of her way, you know? But speaking of performative, she goes away and then comes back in a mask because the lady's in there cleaning, because apparently she's so thoughtful, but immediately pulls it down to under her nose because the pandemic taught her nothing. She promises again to do things when she's feeling better and can breathe. She says actually that the problem is the breathing, but also the nausea. And when she's doing things, she feels sick, which is something I would want to get checked more than the cold, quite frankly. Like, nausea every time you move is not normal. Now, it could just be her generally terrible state, and then the extra pressure that the heat and being outside puts on it, which is one of the reasons she kind of cowers inside when she lives in Kuwait. But again, it comes back to this question of why are you in Thailand then? If you were trying to escape the heat, why didn't you go somewhere else in September? And the fact is, she was never really interested in the destination, I don't think. She ended up just going back to Thailand because it was familiar to her. Salah is not here yet, and weirdly, and kind of connected to this thought, they might extend the time she/they are there. She kind of goes back and forth on whether it's her or both of them. And I guess she's trying to imply because he's late coming, but I feel like there are shenanigans going on somewhere. I would say their relationship, but he has still been in chat supporting her. In which case, I know I'm a broken record, but it must be something to do with status, immigration, visas, whatever, because there is literally no reason to be there. She is not enjoying her trip. It's not any cooler. She's not getting any benefit from it at all. Yes, she's getting weed, but she's not getting any benefit. And she doesn't seem to be enjoying herself. So there's literally no reason to extend a trip that she seems to be actively disliking. And they're still paying for whatever's going on in Kuwait. So she could be in her apartment with her beloved if there weren't a reason for her not to be there, you know? Now the question could then become, well, is she just planning, has there been some kind of conversation, as I think we've discussed before, where they're saying, no, you have to have limited time in Kuwait, you're abusing this, and you can't be in Kuwait for longer than XYZ time. Maybe they've cracked down on it, I don't know. But if she were planning on just country hopping with tourist visas, which, as I've said before, is a valid thing and people do, I wish she'd just say it. That would almost be more interesting. She's mentioning how good it is to be clean and wash, apparently. But someone mentions her eyeliner and she says she always has old eyeliner, it's waterproof. You guys, I bought a couple of things the other day and I brought them here for you because this is what she needs, right? My pharmacy next to inside my supermarket has recently started selling Korean beauty products. They're slightly more expensive than Amazon, but it means I can easily get some of the things I use. I always wear waterproof mascara, and I've got something to talk to you about there as well. But this thing right here, I bought a new one because mine's running out. The Radiance Cleansing Balm by, I'm gonna mispronounce it, Beauty of Joseon, or something spelled similar to that, if not pronounced. It cuts through everything. I have never had a makeup remover that works so well. You can literally just stick it in your eye and you'll feel the mascara dissolve. And I've been testing it recently because I changed my mascara. I was using, and I had used for years, you know, the Essence Princess Lash. It had a real moment a few years back with beauty YouTubers because it was really cheap, but it looked really good. But I've noticed the last however long, it really can't handle the level of heat in, I was about to say Kuwait, in Oman, in the Middle East, because we've had a lot of humidity this year as well. And the amount of times I come back from school and it would be down my face to the extent that I was like, why didn't someone tell me? Because it was embarrassing. And I've lived in hot places before where it's been able to stand up to it. It's just, the humidity has been terrible here. I went into Centrepoint the other day. I went to the lady and I was like, I need a waterproof mascara that's not gonna budge. And she was like, do you trust me? I was like, with my life, show it to me. She sent me for this. This is the Bourjois, which isn't a brand I tend to use. Healthy Mix Waterproof Volume Mascara. It's clean and vegan, but that wasn't the point of me buying it. But when I tell you it doesn't budge, you have to be careful putting it on because it tends to transfer before it's set. But once it does, I don't care what you do, it is staying. But it means it needs a really good cleanser. I realize we've kind of gone off on a tangent here. Makeup's kind of been on the brain. A Sephora has opened up in Muscat. Had its grand opening yesterday. I'm going on Sunday. I'm very excited. But in terms of just affordable makeup that Foodie could herself get, there are so many things you can have to remove your makeup properly, and she just never bothers and sleeps in it and then wonders why it doesn't go anywhere. But anyway, sidebar, but these would improve her life. She's moving on. She's saying hopefully after the food she'll feel better and then she sort of trails off and goes, I don't know. She has some back and forth with the chat and mentions that she still has a sense of smell and taste, although the taste is a bit weird, which might be because she's got a blocked nose. And people were saying, well, if you've got smell and taste, it can't be COVID. People experience symptoms differently. You don't necessarily have to lose it for COVID, but you know what would be really great? Even if it's not, even if it's just a bog standard cold, going to the doctor because she's got so many things wrong with her that anything minor can become major in an instant. She excuses watching Geordie as it popped up because people told her to watch the ALRT. Because clearly she never watches reactors, even though she talks about them on the community post. She mentioned, is the channel called Fat Cow Chronicles? I think it is. They did a video on why she'd be the prime target for a romance scam, which was a big conversation around the time when she met Salah, because even if she went into a bit of a rant about this. She was like, well, why would you think so? But looking at how low she was willing to go for Nada, like, yeah, you will literally do anything for the appearance of affection. It makes you vulnerable. The cleaner leaves, she shows a pan around the newly cleaned room, all the bedding's been changed, that kind of thing. Then she tells us her food is here, so she heads down. She films on the way, and I can't help but wonder, like, how infamous do you think she is in that hotel? Like, because the thing is with it, they see tourists, multiples of tourists, every day, go in and out, ready for their holiday, ready to go out, ready to do things, ready to just sit by the pool and relax, whatever it is they're going to do, right? But she literally does nothing but 7-Eleven and pick up food. And people are going to notice that. If you're working behind the counter and you're used to seeing people come and go every day, she is noticeable on her best day. Like, can you imagine the people working there just being like, what else does she do? Have you ever seen her like go on a trip? No, she just comes back with bags of food, or doesn't leave and gets bags of food. I bet there have been some conversations about it. On the way up, I think on the way down as well, but on the way up, the elevator stops at a floor and whoever is on the other side is just like, hell no, and like doesn't get in. So we get back, she sounds very excited and goes, let's have some fruit first, and then looks at it and is like, breaks into the pad thai. She says she doesn't like touristy areas, and actually September is the lowest season for Thailand, so I guess she picked now because it was so cheap. She didn't actually have to travel. She wasn't at the end of her visa period from what we could piece together. So you would assume she'd pick September because it was cheaper. And if I could give her any credit at all, but I don't think she's planned this far, if we're going in 3 months blocks and she comes back in October, November, December, she can then travel again when it's cheaper in January. But again, I think that might be giving her too much credit. She said she managed to go to bed last night having eaten dinner and not ordered all night. So she tries to remember kind of that feeling and keep it with her so that she can eat like a normal human. Her words, not mine. She said she's in Thailand, so she may as well eat all the Thai food she can, presumably because she's not planning on taking advantage of anything else that might be in the country. We're on to stories, I don't know how we got here, of how she used to be an inconsiderate office mate with stinky food in her workplace and is still bitter about a co-worker that complained about it. Apparently she was putting fish in the microwave. Someone comments that she suddenly sounds less sick, and she says eating made her feel better instantly. And if that doesn't apply to her whole life, I don't know what does. She checks her battery and goes to plug it in. I'm guessing she still hasn't taken her phone to get fixed, which genuinely must be really inconvenient for her. She's so reliant on her phone, you would think she would prioritize it. At the very least, take it to a repair shop and be like, the battery? It could be a lot of things. It could be an update on her phone that has caused it to start draining faster, because that sometimes happens and then they put out a hot fix. But how she's managing, I mean, I suppose how she's managing is she's not leaving, but still, how inconvenient. She checked her blood sugar today. It was only 10. Bear in mind, this is after saying that the day before she only ate dinner and it was like chicken breast salad and some sweet potato fries. And she didn't eat and then she slept a lot. So nothing yesterday, according to her, would have triggered any big sugar spikes, but she excuses it as she's ill and her blood sugar spikes when she's ill. It's definitely not the literal gallons of crap she's consumed since she got to Thailand. So predictably, she's not as terrified as I feel she perhaps should be. She's sniffing that anti-congestion medicine thing that she has, but she wants NyQuil. She wants to do some shopping. She needs some new skincare. Turns out she's been watching 7-Eleven skincare ads, which is what makes her think that. And genuinely, when it comes to skincare, I know I've done a skincare video on my other channel, but she needs to understand a few different things. She needs to understand how to use actives. She needs to understand that more is just more sometimes because it will irritate her skin and she has to be patient. She needs to practice proper hygiene and skin protection, so taking her makeup off and cleansing, using sun protection all the time, especially if she lives in Kuwait, but all the time. And understand that proper diet and hormone control will impact her skin terribly. So she can see improvements even without changing her diet, but she does need to look at her diet and the fact that she goes on and off for hormone medicine as part of her problems. Someone mentions the sunscreen and she says she should make her own. God forbid. I cannot imagine. Well, I can imagine, and it seems terrible. You could just think of her scrolling through TikTok and coming upon those, You know, the pseudoscience she loves when it's like, take this natural thing or this natural thing and look, it's protection from the sun. Don't believe the doctors. Big Pharma is trying to trick you instead of just wearing sunscreen. She talks about how much she liked Prince Edward Island when she was there for Katimavik. And then she takes like a toddler whine and heavy breathing break for a few seconds. She does a few of these through the live where she just leans back and is like, and then just breathes heavily while she kind of gets over it. Bizarrely, she guesses that Salah not being there is teaching her independence, as she doesn't know where to go or what to do, and her chat is finding information about medicine for her. Very independent. And she also says she has building blindness because the signs are in Thai, she can't really tell what they are, but thinks that the building across the way that says drugs on the outside might sell medicine. Unless, you know, the illegal drug trade has gotten very confident since the last time I was there. She's suddenly annoyed about nicknames that are given to her because they're dumb. Not sure how we got there, but it leads to this kind of faux deep realization about how you shouldn't let people define your self-worth. And she said she didn't learn that when she was being bullied in school, which, to be fair to her, is quite natural when you're a kid, but has learned now she's being bullied online. Her community post insulting Yaba and her community and everybody else, how immensely triggerable she is, would question how above all it she is now. She also says in reference to reactors that some things aren't worth the money and she could put out her old videos for coin, but for her it's the principle. Keep that in mind because I do think we are going to see her old videos pretty soon. She mentioned potentially putting some of them back up once before as well, so I think she's just testing the waters. Someone says, would she visit China or Japan? She says yes. As ever, I am here for it. Make it so. Talks about how they eat a lot of pork in Thailand and in general in Asian countries. And she's been watching something about pig plants and it grosses her right out and she thinks she could be vegetarian. Or at least now she could be vegetarian. This to me says she has been tempted by eating either pork or pepperoni or some kind of product that she's wanted that is not permissible to her diet. You know, she hasn't been eating halal all the time, you know that. But I think there's probably something specific that she wants, and now she's watching videos to kind of gross herself out to try and make herself not want it because she knows it's just going to cause so much drama. Because you know she wouldn't be able to hide it. She'd admit it at some point or just straight up show it. And if you remember when she was trying to go vegan, she used to visit that, was it a petting zoo or a farm or something? She used to visit baby animals and talk about how terrible it was that people, you know, ate meat and how lovely they were and how she couldn't possibly eat them. Then it turns out she was eating meat the whole time. So I get kind of that vibe from this. She goes on to say animal slaughter grosses her out for weeks, and I flash back to the video of the chicken getting killed that she put up right after she got to Kuwait, because she was like, well, you eat it, you should be part of the process. I actually agree with that. I know that I eat meat and I know that's part of the process, and I accept that in the fact that I eat meat. But don't tell me how it grosses you out and then forget that you put up an animal slaughter on YouTube to spite people because you said they were being ridiculous. She says she doesn't have any problem with people eating meat, it's in the Quran, but that not everyone has the connection to animals that some people do, and tell that to her neglected pets. She says the small streets are dizzying in Thailand and she needs to feel optimal to go out. Optimal, I think, was the best word there, and it's rare she chooses a good word because it's optimal for her. Because if she said feel good, she'd never leave. She'd never fly home. She'd never do anything because I don't think she has good in her range. Not as bad is, I think, as high as it goes. She says based on past experience, she thinks probably another couple of days before her breathing clears. She's gone on and off about going to the doctor. She really doesn't want to, and again, I don't know why. If I were her and I was having any kind of problem, I would be taxiing to a clinic so quickly because you know how big an impact it can have on her. Someone suggests antibiotics. She said she didn't get any because there were no white spots on her throat, which could be a completely valid thing, but also she's not a doctor. And also she could go for a Slurpee. Completely unrelated things. We're coming not exactly close to the end, but nothing massively important comes out from here. So she chats about food for a bit. Salah says he's lost 2 kilograms since she's been gone, which shocks nobody. She says she likes the gloomy weather because it makes her feel less guilty about not doing anything. And again, I question why she didn't go somewhere that was gloomier then. Because remember when the conversation was, we can go somewhere cooler and go out more? It just changes moment to moment based on what will help her with her point. She does say when she feels better, she wants to try that street scale, you know, that weigh-in place she passed. And to be fair, that would get her views. I would not deny it. I'd be interested to see that. She lists a few places that she could be going and probably won't. So as I say, the live drags on a bit more, but nothing else really happens. So I think we can probably just leave it there. So not so long today, but again, her lives have been quite hard. And we go through periods of this as an audience, I think, and reactors feel it more as well, where it's been a long time since she's had pretty constant lives. Like we had a lot during COVID where she had nothing else to do, so she'd come live. And it's very similar. Where else is her attention gonna go? You know, she's got nothing else to stimulate her. But the fact is there aren't that many talking points. So I'm trying to keep up and do recaps and things, but there wasn't much going on this week. The ever-present question of will Salah, won't Salah is there. And there was something on Twitter, which was probably a troll, but somebody turned up in chat, and I think she disabled the chat for the replay, saying, oh, we have evidence that Salah's been at it again, and if he doesn't admit it to you in 48 hours, we're going to the farms. Again, probably a troll to see if they could get her to react. I don't believe she reacted within the stream, but the chat is now disabled, so she obviously read it. And that is where we are. I'm probably going to turn this camera off and find she's live again. I might listen to it, I won't react to it. I got some other videos to do today, but aside from that, I will see you next time. Bye-bye.